Council is focused on digital assets and related risks, such as from runs on crypto asset platforms and stablecoins, potential vulnerabilities from crypto asset price volatility, and the proliferation of platforms acting outside of or out of compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Applicable rules and regulations should be enforced, and Congress should pass legislation to provide for the regulation of stablecoins and of the spot market for crypto assets that are not securities. We look forward to continuing to engage with Congress on this. With this overview, I look forward to taking your questions on these.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. In what is the dusk before dawn moments in the crypto market. Right now, crypto market sentiment is at massive lows. Honestly, people are bored. People expected the Bitcoin ETF to take us to the moon. And like clockwork, we on this channel told you all it will be a sell the news event. But let me tell you all, my friends, right now, what Janet Yellen just stated. This is one of the biggest things I've ever heard in the crypto space. And in today's video, we are going to break down this emergency regulation that is going to pass like clockwork, possibly in 2024, but no later than January 2025. Now, that does not mean a crypto bull run cannot happen in the meantime. But what we are figuring out is the fact that this crypto market, it will be regulated, and that will bring in trillions into the space. This is one of the most important moments in crypto history as stablecoin regulation is on the table. Stablecoins like UST were what imploded Terra Luna the last cycle. And then we saw FTX implode right after. We need stablecoin regulation and regulation as a whole. And with that, all the bad actors and all the serious money will be allowed, will be kicked out of the space, and all the serious money will feel more secure to enter the space. Janet Yellen let us know that this is at the front of the White House, the front of the Treasury, in regards to their agenda. And I think 2024 is very possibly the year of crypto regs. You guys, I've been here since 2016 in the wild, wild west of crypto. And now sitting here right now looking at these politicians talking about this asset class, you'll realize how much this space has grown. Patrick McHenry from the Financial Services Committee stated FSOC's calls to fill regulatory gaps in spot markets for non-security digital assets. Non-security digital assets, I believe, will be regulated by the CFTC. And I believe there will be a moment in time where the floodgates will open as you see all these politicians moving forward during an election year and one of the hottest topics on the planet. The crypto community is ready to make their impact this election cycle and pay extremely close attention who is for and against this space. Now guys, a gentle reminder of what's going on behind the scenes. U.S. regional bank stocks 1 month into 2024 are absolutely imploding. New York Community Bank down 60%, Valley National 25% down, Metropolitan 15%, and plenty others down quite a bit. Regional bank worries resurfaced as New York Community Bank, which acquired the collapsed Signature Bank, remember them? Cut their dividend by 70%. These are the same banks that hold nearly 70% of commercial real estate loans. Just 10 months ago, the regional bank crisis, quote unquote, ended. But with high interest rates and the liquidation of Evergrande, as well as the collapsing Chinese stock market that we saw just yesterday, oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to see something special in regards to the collapse of these systems. The cracks in the dam are wide open. And this will be a major catalyst, in my opinion, for the inevitable XRP adoption that we have been expecting. Now, we have here from DAI, John Deaton, breaking down the SEC to their totality, bringing them to their knees. And you all have to remember, the XRP army absolutely crippled the SEC.
100%. You made the perfect comment about a check on an autocratic agency. In the Ripple case that I talked about earlier, the federal judge said, quote, the SEC lacks faithful allegiance to the law. Then in Grayscale, they were denied a Bitcoin spot ETF. They sued, and the District Court of Appeals came back and said that it was arbitrary and capricious, that you were denying investors the right to a spot ETF while you were approving a futures ETF. The same rationale applies, and we won in that case. And we're seeing case after case of the court system holding the SEC accountable, and we got the spot ETF just because of the courts.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is actually something that you need to realize. The XRP community, along with the help of Grayscale and Coinbase, are indirectly responsible, but greatly helped influence the passing of this Bitcoin ETF. That's what they don't realize. And here, something else I want to remind you of is that Jay Clayton is the reason why Ripple has to suffer through this lawsuit. It is because of his conflicts of interest in regards to Ethereum. He is a big part of ETHgate. Him and Hinman. And Jay Clayton right now is getting pushed into a corner in regards to his questioning. Jay Clayton does his best to try and spin the SEC versus Ripple decision to say, oh, institutional sales of XRP were in violation of the law. But XRP itself was not a security, and that cannot be changed. This is from January 26, 2024. And I pray reporters continue to press Jay Clayton on this issue.
Of course, your last filing, like last case before you left, was against Ripple. Any thoughts you have on how the court judgments came out of Ripple? Obviously, there was kind of a mitigated with some wins for the SEC and some others for XRP and Ripple. Like, what's your view on it, looking back at it right now, like 2-3 years after you left office?
Well, look, the way the court is now, and this is a case that has not been finally resolved. There are appeals and the like. But if you look at the distinction I made at the beginning of our discussion between securities transactions that are for the purpose of capital raising, where I said we have very rigorous regulations, and then securities regulation for secondary trading. You look at what the court did, it said, hey, that capital raising transaction was a securities transaction. Now, the court found that the secondary trading transaction and its definition of secondary trading transaction was not. We'll see how that goes on appeal. We'll see how both of them go on appeal. Yeah. But the point I want to make is that we rigorously regulate the raising of capital from the general public, and that has not changed.
The XRP army begs to differ.
Okay, so I'll talk a bit about the funding model. So we will have a fundraiser for 2 months starting February 1st. It will be available at funds.ethereum.org. So the idea is that part of the initial issuance will be 1,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin, or up to 2,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin if you get in early to compensate for the increased risk. So the issuance model is that we will fundraise. Suppose that we hand out X Ether through the fundraiser, then there will be about 0.5x will be pre-mined, and then 0.4x after that will be mined per year forever. So it's this hybrid of Mastercoin, of the Mastercoin and Ripple model, and the pure Bitcoin mining model, and even to a slight extent the inflationary model.
The SEC is trying to capture the digital asset space. They went after Ripple and specifically XRP because it was the biggest threat to the incumbent banking and financial system.
You know, the United States government is probably the biggest bully in the world. I read the complaint and it was terrible news. People are going to lose money, and people had their life savings in XRP. All right, welcome to Regulatory Capture 101, also known as ETHgate.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what's actually so interesting is that the XRP army united behind the back and the hustle and grind of John Deaton, and he has come out with a movie, I believe, which I wasn't aware of, called XRP Unleashed. I'm not sure if the full movie is out yet, but when it is, you guys best believe I would highly recommend you all take a look. We have to realize and understand that these regulators, regardless of their corruption, they never get caught for the most part. And we need to stop being so self-righteous with our vendettas against them, despite the fact that we know the truth. Being upset about it will not change anything. But understanding where we go next changes everything. LMAX Group CEO has stated an immediate transfer of ownership of assets and transfer of that ownership will confirm within 12 seconds with blockchain immediately. He stated this at a Ripple co-sponsored event. And ladies and gentlemen, the technology we own and XRP is one of those digital assets that can help facilitate this. The value is suppressed. The price is unbelievably low. And these are the type of opportunities I highly recommend you always learn to pinpoint.
So, immediate transfer of ownership of an asset. It's as simple as that. That doesn't happen today. The world is built on credit. So I can trade with you now and immediately transfer that ownership. And it will be confirmed on a blockchain within 12 seconds. That's hugely powerful. Why is that so powerful? It opens up the world, the world markets to a much wider community. If you can envision the future where everyone who has an Amazon account, perhaps everyone who has a Meta account or a WhatsApp account or whatever, can access those markets and trade in small size. So the fractionalization is hugely powerful. We still have a lot of gated communities in financial markets. And we're going to break those down. It also makes all of us and all of the institutions hugely more capital efficient, right? You can deploy your capital second to second, minute to minute, rather than day to day. I mean, it's unfathomable today that you still, I've had it just this week personally, you transfer money somewhere and you wait 3 to 5 days because they use backs rather than chapters thing for that to clear. So hugely powerful, and mostly, just to summarize that again, because of the democratization of the markets and the efficiency of capital and the immediate transfer of benefits.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, to cap off this video for today, we're going to cap off just how we started. As Janet Yellen is urging Congress to get regulations for crypto passed. The EU is discussing new banking regulation deadlines for January 2025. I believe that this time frame from right now into Q1 2025 is going to be unbelievably special for crypto and unbelievably important for crypto regulation. And frankly, the future of the financial system and financial system regulations. The tokenization of assets is very real. That LMAX CEO discussed how brutally annoying it is that transactions take 3 to 5 days. But that's always been XRP's biggest pain point. We all need to understand one thing. We are all correctly positioned in the one digital asset that's fighting the SEC in court and has been for 3 years and has been dominating. We are in the portion of the case where we find out how much Ripple has to pay, but XRP's in the clear, 110% in the clear. It missed the last bull run, but I believe that will pay dividends this time around. And XRP combined with Flare and the passive income with AMM and delegation as well as assets will be the perfect storm for our generational wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, never forget, all of you were all destined to become the new 1%. And if you haven't done so already, I would highly recommend getting your Fuck the SEC t-shirt, as we're about to launch our second drop of merch in the coming days. Ladies and gentlemen, stay the course and pay attention. Keep an eye on regulation. And if you want to join the movement, you can find my aggressively average apparel website down in the description below. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
I mean, front of mind for banks, I would say keep an eye on the upcoming regulation. There is an ongoing sort of focus from the regulators on operational resilience. There is a new DORA regulation coming from the EU with a deadline of Jan 2025. So I think keeping an eye out for the regulation. Also sort of understanding what the key critical systems are, because there is a lot of focus from the regulator on keeping the critical systems and services up and running for the markets that can have a big impact on the market and the consumers. So things like payments, right? I mean, a lot of times we have seen payment systems going down when we are trying to pay something for goods and services, and suddenly the payments stop working. So identifying those critical services and making sure that the supply chain and then the infrastructure for those services is intact and modern and resilient. The second piece we are seeing is supply chain risk management. So there is a lot of focus from the regulators on looking at third-party risk, because technology itself has a long supply chain, and often banks buy software services from different providers, people like us in a lot of cases, and there is a lot of focus from the regulators to look at the supply chain risks that are embedded within the supply chain. And the third thing, I would sort of say, operational resilience is as good as people, so it's linked to your organizational resilience. So a lot of focus, often we talk about technology and regulation and risk management, but I think banks should also consider the impact of culture and how much organizational resilience is embedded within the financial institution. So training, awareness of the activities that the employees are doing, because a lot of the times the threat is external but also internal. So I think that's important to keep in mind, and the cultural element of allowing employees to speak up.
Fantastic.